Okay, on to the next step. So, gonna start cutting and buffing. Ooh, that's not good. I've masked off the engine compartment, just covered the seats. You know, this stuff can get a little messy, so I didn't want it flying all around. This is gonna be a very long process. So I'm gonna kind of try to take you through it step by step. Might break it up into a couple videos just because it's gonna take me so long to do it, and they're not gonna be terribly long videos, but just figuring that's what I'm gonna do. So I've taken the tires and rims back off and put on the shop wheels. Got that all set up just because it is so messy. I've still got to cover the tires and wheels. I've got the hood laid out, the cowl grill laid out, and all my stuff. Interesting. Apparently, when you get a water jug, it becomes extremely flammable. Apparently when they changed to blue plastic and put water on the side, they couldn't bother to be changed the rest of it. Anyway, I got some water. I've got my buffing pads, a bunch of different grits. I've got 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and 3,000 for block sanding. Then I've got 1,000 up through 4,000, even 5,000 for DA sanding. So we're gonna use a combination of all of these. I've got a De-nibbing tool here, which is just a little carbide cutter. I'll show you how this works. And of course some Dawn soap. So first thing I'm gonna do is get set up with some clean water. Nice clean bucket of water, get started. And I think what I'm gonna do, because the process is pretty much the same everywhere, is I will kind of demonstrate each step as it happens on the trunk deck. Mostly, just so that, you know, it's just gonna be, it's a long way around this rig. And each step is gonna be the same on every panel. So I'll just kind of concentrate on the trunk deck first, and then go around, do the rest of it, and then do the next step on the trunk deck, film that, go around, do the rest of it. That's my plan anyway. Hopefully I stick to it. We'll see. Yeah, so this is gonna take many days. I've been kind of avoiding it, but here we are. Now this paint has set now for about 12 weeks, so it's plenty hard. There's no more curing going on here, but you can see there's a little orange peel in it, and that's the point we're going to take out with the cut and buff. I did flow coat this, and you know, if you're really good doing a flow coat, you don't generally get orange peel after that, but I did it mostly just to reduce the orange peel. You can see there is some in it, and it's a little dry up here too. But I just wanted it a good clean coat, and you know, I still got some trash in it and stuff that we're gonna de-nib and pull out with the wet sanding process. So yeah, that's the plan. It's been sitting for a good long time, so there's no fear of the clear coat still being soft. It's hardened right off while I did the wiring and the motor and all the other pieces that I did. It was a good breaking point. So now we're back to this. Once I get this all cut and buffed and the body looking like it's gonna look permanent, then we can move on to actually fitting up the rest of the exterior parts like tail lights and hood scoops and putting it all back together finally. So, still got to take off that emblem. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think this will be an experience for me. I haven't not done this, but I watched a lot of YouTube. So this is my first time cutting buffing. There's guys out there that really know what they're doing, like Faraway and Sprayway Customs and Carthage Custom Cars or Classic Cars. Those guys do really nice work, and I've been watching a lot of their instructional videos, and it really kind of sheds the light on what you should do. It's not terribly difficult. I've got so much clear coat on this car. I mean, before I did the initial cut down and flow coat, I had many coats over the graphics, but there's a good solid 3 coats of clear everywhere. Then I did the cut down and then did 2 coats on a flow coat. So plenty of material. I'm not worried about burning through. But again, The trick is you just stay away from the edges, because edges inherently get thin. So you don't really want to be wet sanding right up to the edge. But as you can see, when you get right up to the edge, there is no orange peel. It's weird. It's like the corner of the surface tension affects that. So you can get close to it, get all your orange peel off, and you'll have it pretty good. Like right here, you can see it's a little dry in here, but that's all clear coat, so it'll buff right out. Okay, so that's the steel. I'm gonna do wet sanding first. Well, first I'm gonna de-nib it, wet sand it in many different stages. We'll go through that process in detail. Then we'll start doing the buffing. First with a cutter, and then with a polish. So I'll take you through that as we get there. Okay, so the first step that we're going to do is we're going to do what they call de-nibbing this thing. Now this is a little carbide cutting tool. This one happens to be from Eastwood. And you just get in here and you can feel a little, this actually looks like a little flake of dust. Sometimes it's just a little crystallized piece of clear coat. But you just kind of very gently knock the height down so it's more level. And just kind of run your hand over it, and as you feel them, knock them down. That's all there is to it. And you just set this thing fairly level, and that carbide edge does a nice job. Just, slowly, it's almost like a wood scraper. Just slowly knock that down. And I can feel one right there. Sorry, trying to keep the camera on it and do it at the same time is always fun. That one's pretty good. So again, I'm going to concentrate on this section. There's something there. Try to get that up a little higher. Okay. So here we go. Just going to try to slowly feel those out, find them, and knock them down a little bit. And when we hit it with the first round of sandpaper, they'll become more obvious. But for right now, this just helps alleviate some extra sanding by doing this, and it really does, it spares the area around the nib. Yeah, okay. That's pretty good. A little one right there. And you can see this stuff is hard. If this is soft, this is not the tool to use. But where this is so hard now, this is working great. Anything that got in the paint, a little speck of dust, little bug, whatever, just knock him off with this. Assuming again that it was in the clear coat, but remember we had completely sanded this flat and redid it. So anyway, there you have it. All right, the next step I take just on the nibs, I use these little mini de-nibbing blocks. And I got these on Amazon. And it has like 1,500, 2,000, 3,000, 1,500, 2,000, 1,500 or 2,000 is all you really need because we're going to do the other parts in different steps. But if you look at this, man, it's hard to even tell there's any material on there at all. It feels super smooth. So we're going to use these next. I'm going to dunk it in my soapy water. Just get a little water on it. And I'll come back over here and hit some of those nibs. And just carry on like that for a minute. Want to keep your block nice and clean. Last thing you want is pick up some dirt on it. And you want to kind of cross hatch it like you would normal block sanding. It's smaller, obviously, but I'm just running the side of my palm over everything to see if I can feel anything. There we go. You can see it's taking them right down pretty good. Again, I want to stay away from the edge, so I'm kind of running my finger on the edge and just working through there. I feel something right here. And again, this is a step that's gonna, sometimes this is all you have to do. If your flow coat really came out nice and smooth and you just got a few nibs, just do this and then buff it out. You'll be fine. But we're trying to get it a little bit smoother than that. They call that, when they see a little bit of orange peel, they call that factory finish. I just think that's for people that don't want to do it better. But there's no reason not to. We put all this time and effort into it. Might as well. There's a little one right there. These little blocks, you can't even feel the grit, but it does sand it. Okay, so now that's pretty much it for this. Let me grab a microfiber here and I'll show you what it looks like. Dried off. And you'll see it's just dulled out a little bit around those areas. And that one's a good one right there. You can still see the nib a little bit in the middle. It's hard to feel, but the rest of the wet sanding process will take that right out. So again, we're just trying to get the little dust buggers out of there and insects and whatever else happened to get into it. You know, we are painting this in a garage, so. But hopefully this will come out looking perfect. All right, I'm going to go through and do the rest of the vehicle now. All right, so I've de-nibbed everything, got it cut down, and got it to a point where there's no nibs that are going to restrict sanding at this point. So, next step is we're just going to start blocking this out with 1000 grit. This isn't the ideal paper for this block, but I'm going to start with it anyway. And where's my? We're going to hit it and just wet it down a little bit. Soapy water. Just a little bit of soap, not too much. Now we'll just start. We'll start blocking it. Now I like to use a rigid block here to start working the orange peel, and that's primarily what this 1000 grit cut's going to do. It's going to eliminate the orange peel, or as close to it as we can get. And again, we're doing that just to get rid of it, but we had flow coated this, so the orange peel's not terrible. It gets pretty big when you're doing the, many layers of paint, right? But when I'm doing when you cut before a flow coat, now all you're dealing with is the orange peel from the flow coat, so it kind of minimizes it, in my opinion. Okay, so again, we just cross-hatch this. I'm going to come down here a little bit. Again, trying to stay away from the edges. You don't really want to sand over a body line because it's naturally thin there just because of the surface tensions and the way the fluids act when you lay them on. Okay. And you can feel it. Once you're starting to make headway, it becomes a lot easier for the paper to glide. This is going a lot easier than it did when I first did the cut for the flow coat, I'll tell you that. Nice even pressure, don't get lazy. It doesn't matter if you don't get all of it, you just want to get everywhere where you need to, address some orange peel. All right, now let's just take a second now. Grab a microfiber and give it a look. See what we got. Oh yeah. Wow. That cut wicked easy. Got a little bit of orange peel still up in here. A little bit right here. But for the most part, it comes out very easy. And you can tell the orange peel at this phase because it's still shiny. It just looks like shiny bits of an orange peel. So, very close. I'm just going to keep working this a little bit more. For the most part, I'm pretty happy with it. Up in here, I need some more. A bit more right there. And I can get out closer to the edge a little bit. So again, this is 1000 grit. You shouldn't have to do this too much. Because, every scratch you put in, you got to take out eventually, so. Hit it with some more water. Again, I'm trying to stay off the edge. Just try to keep it nice and flow. Pretty good in there. Up here is where I really need to concentrate. All right, let's just keep going. Doesn't take a whole lot. Okay. Yeah, you can really feel it where it's good and where it's not. All right, let's dry this off and have a look. Then I'll probably start working in smaller sections once I kind of first cut a big area like this. We'll start working smaller sections so you can really remember where the problem areas are. All right. I'm going to get a slightly drier towel. Looking good. A little bit down this edge, a little bit up here. I don't know how close I want to get to that. A lot of that will just smooth out with the next steps. Again, I'm going to come down through here just a little bit more. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. And then a little bit down this edge where I haven't got close to the bottom yet. I can get a little better there, but again, looking good. So that's the idea. That's the whole strategy behind it. Again, keep your paper wet. Let it soak in the bucket. Don't be afraid to leave it there, even overnight when you're between layers. All right, so I'm gonna just cross this in a little bit. And this is 1000 grit. I mean, this is barely feels like sandpaper. And this part here is actually all under the spoiler anyway, so. But we're gonna do a good job. We're gonna do it right. Okay. One of my bolt holes here filled with paint. That's not good. I'll have to cut that out, I'm sure. Okay, so I made the trunk look pretty easy. The rest of the car, I'm sure, is gonna take a long time. You know, it just, there's a lot of surface area here. And I'm gonna hit it again, probably with 1500 with a hand block as the next step. But mostly just to start the 1000 grit, you're just working to get the orange peel out. That's what you want to do. That's the only thing you're trying to accomplish with 1000. Use a lot of microfiber towels with this. I have no idea if you can wash these things, but it does seem counterintuitive, you know, you get a nice shiny car and now all of a sudden you're dulling it right out again. But oh well, you know, it is what it is. Okay. I like it. That looks really smooth. I got one nib right here I can see. It's under the spoiler, but I'm going to get it anyway. One little pocket of nib. And anything else? Another little one right there. And, you know, even if you have some really, really minor, like right here, I've got a little, I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but a little tiny shiny spot right there by the tip of my finger. And, you know, that'll buff out. I mean, that'll come right out of it. Not a problem. All right. Yeah, so that looks good. Now I'm going to put you guys down and try to just rock the rest of this car out. It takes a while. It took me over an hour to de-nib the whole thing, probably an hour and a half. And there was just some areas where it didn't make sense to get too fussy with it. But you can see the benefit is this step went a lot easier when you do that. Oh, there's one right there. All right. Yeah, so that's the idea. We're just going to keep doing the steps until it's shiny again. You make it dull, then you make it shiny. Easy. All right, I'll bring you back. All right, so now it's all block sanded. Worked my way around the whole rig. The hood done, cowl cover done. The next step is we're gonna now take that block sand and run the really high grits on the DA, and just smooth out as much as we can. Work down as much of the 1,000 and 1,500 grit scratches that we can, and we'll go from there. But I'm going to end this video here, and the DA work and then eventually the buffer work will be follow on. So yeah, that's pretty much how this goes. It's just a lot of sanding. It's taken me, oh, I bet I've got close to 8 hours of block sanding, just block sanding this. So not a small task. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna move on to the next step. I'll start DAing this out with the wet sanding it with the really high grits, and we'll see how that looks.